Sorry, I'm thinking about this pastor.
You're not alone. You're with Jesus.
Well, I'm thinking about this pastor who says it's better to be alone than married wrong. And like,
that's supposed to rhyme.
Yeah, they kind of forcing it, but you get the point. You get the point. What's up, fam? Welcome back to our channel. My name is Tim. This is my beautiful wife, Pauline, and you're tuning in to another episode of the W Podcast, where you get wisdom in the word with the
Wheeler.
Hey, so we are super excited to have y'all in this week. We got a great topic, really focusing all around the idea, because sometimes I feel like people get paralyzed when they just get into a new relationship because either they're not sure if this person is somebody that they should continue to date, or sometimes a relationship starts to get so real to somebody that they thought they wanted to be in a relationship, and now the reality of, oh, this could actually lead somewhere, can start getting somebody nervous. And then we got people who are just like, I don't even really feel this person.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be alone. Especially, right now it's cuffing season. You know about that?
I do.
You never heard of cuffing season?
I have, but I never knew when it was.
It's when it starts getting cold outside.
All right, and then you break up.
I need somebody snuggle.
Because the summertime it's warm and you're out here.
Yeah, you out here doing what though? That's what I want to know. But yeah, so we're talking all about how do you make sure you make the right decisions, because in dating, I find that it can be really hard to make the right decisions because of all those different factors that I just named. And then also, you're talking about saying I do to somebody. Right. So that has its own weight just in and of itself in that aspect. So in this first clip, one of the things we want to highlight is making sure that you are not the only person making sacrifices in a relationship. Because sometimes when we're in a relationship and we're in that situation where maybe we don't want to be lonely, sometimes we'll stay in unhealthy places just so that we can have somebody to call, to text, to go out with on Friday night. And sometimes when you're in that situation, you can find yourself overextending. And the person ain't really feeling you, but they're just using you as well. It's kind of that parasitic. Yeah, it's that parasitic relationship sometimes.
Toxic,
so we're going to give you some questions that we want you to ask yourself if you find yourself in a dating relationship. Whether you relate to what we're saying or not. Maybe you're completely healthy and you're in a completely healthy relationship. We're super happy for you. But there's still some questions you want to ask yourself that will help you determine if you should continue to date somebody or if it may be time to split ways. So let's get into it.
First question to ask yourself if you're thinking if you should break up with someone or not is ask yourself, why did you get together? Now, if you're a Christian, hopefully there is some type of narrative of the Lord told us to get together, the Lord led us together, the Lord brought us together. Something along those lines, that's what our hope is. Obviously, we know that's not the case for everybody. But even if you aren't a Christian, that's something that you can ask yourself is, why did we get together? If you got together for selfish reasons, if you got together because of convenience, like if you met in college and you were like, oh, we were just next door neighbors, or I've never met anybody else, or kind of like I don't feel like breaking up, like those aren't really good reasons to stay with somebody. But you want to make sure that your answer to that question is one that's filled with purpose. So if you're a Christian, that can look like and sound like something like, we want to build a healthy family together, we want to raise God-fearing children together, we want to build God's kingdom together, those types of things. Something that's with purpose. And even people who maybe aren't Christians, but they have Christian principles, whether you know it or not, in your marriage is something along the lines of, we want to build together, we want to build an empire together, we want to build a business or a family together, whatever the case is. So that's the first thing to ask yourself is, why did you get together? The second question is, what is keeping you together? This is a really good question to ask, because if maybe you got together for good reasons, but things have changed. Maybe you learned some things about that person or about yourself. while you were with them, and things that honestly you don't like, either things that were brought out of you or brought out of yourself. And that's another kind of another way to reframe this question would be, do you bring out the best in them, and do they bring out the best in you?
Yeah, for some people, the only thing keeping you together is the sex. Like, nothing else about this person is good. They lie, they cheat, they steal, but boy, when they get you, like, let's be honest, like, for some of y'all, and
the stronghold.
If you're watching this page, maybe you stumbled upon it accidentally.
Yeah.
But if this is a page that you watch consistently, then you know that we try to have godly relationships. And by no means are we perfect, but we do our best to try to honor the Lord through our relationships. So if you're doing that, you already know most likely that you probably shouldn't be doing that, having premarital sex with someone you're not married to. And this is a good point. If there's already other issues in your relationship, don't let that one area keep you in a toxic situation.
Right.
Because guess what? When you get married, if you do get married to that person, y'all not having sex all day.
People gotta go to work.
There's bills to pay. Do you really want that person to be the father or mother of your child? Like, I should just think about that.
Yeah, that's such a good question.
Yeah. What's the third one?
Yeah, so the third question is, if nothing changed, what would your future together be like? So if you can just sit there and say, like, okay, like, if you're telling yourself, a lot of us women, we lie to ourselves and say, oh, when we get engaged, it'll be better. When we have children, it'll be better. When the baby gets here, when we get married, when we buy that house, like, he's going to get it together. He's going to stop drinking. He's going to stop going out with his friends. And y'all, that never, ever, ever works. If anything, when you get married and you stay together and you like extend your relationship, things get worse. Marriage magnifies who you really are. It brings out who you really are, and that's why a lot of times you want to do all the work you can up front to get to know who you're with, because that joint is going to get even more intensified when you get together. So if you're seeing things now that you don't like, and there's no such thing as a perfect person, well, that's not what we're saying, but we are saying, like, when that person does mess up, do they apologize? Are they gracious to you when you mess up? Like, y'all having a fight should not be something that's abusive or that's something that's tumultuous. Like, can they fight in a way that's fair, that's respectful? All those things and more. We can't rock with them all right now, but if nothing changed in your relationship how it is right now, could you see yourself doing that for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years? And like Tim said, if your son was exactly like him, would you be okay with that? Would you be proud of that? If your daughter was exactly like her, if your daughter dressed like she dresses, if your daughter acts how she acts, speaks like how she speaks, would you be okay with that? Would you be proud of that? And the fourth question would be, what would you tell your friend in the exact same relationship? Y'all, one of the things that the Lord has been walking me through the past couple of years and just is self-talk. And sometimes I realize that I have been in the past way meaner, if that's a word, more mean to myself than I have been to friends or to others. And that is not love. That's not honor. The Lord doesn't want me to talk to myself that way. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate. And sometimes we see our friends in situations and we're like, girl, why are you with him? Girl, why are you doing that? Why are you working there? Why are you doing this and that? And it's so much easier to like lead or coach other people than it is to coach and lead yourself. The hardest person you'll ever lead is you. And it's so funny because you are the only person you have control over, but it's so much easier to tell somebody else what to do, right? So that's why you want to make sure that you're asking yourself this, and like, oh, if my best friend was dating the guy that I'm dating, or if she was in the same situation that I was in, what would I tell her? And give yourself that same advice. If you're with somebody and you have a great guy who wants to marry you, but you don't want to marry him because he's 2 inches shorter than what you prayed for, you probably tell your friend to get over it. Say, girls, not that many fish in the sea. This guy is great to you. Like, you're being picky. You're being scared. So just marinate on that. What would you tell your friend in the exact same relationship? Like, literally talk to yourself. Say, self, I'm talking to you. And journaling has been so big for me. So hopefully those questions help.
For some of you, the questions just not going to do it for you. Like the questions are great.
You get both in here on the W podcast.
But for some of you, the questions, you just like, look, I don't know how to be honest with myself. I can talk myself out of things.
That's real.
So we got some signs.
Oh, yeah, red flags.
Here are a few signs, red flags for you to be looking out for in a relationship to know if you should break up with someone or not.
Yeah.
The first sign is you're making all the sacrifices. So if you're in a relationship and you're constantly making a sacrifice, you're constantly the one that's having to show up for your partner and they never return the favor, that's a problem. Because in marriage, that weight and responsibility only gets worse. Like Pauline said, it's only going to magnify. So if you're already doing all the sacrifices now in dating, what's going to happen in marriage? When you got a house to clean, when you got kids to feed, when you got rent to pay, are you still going to be the one that's making all the sacrifices to make that happen? And they're just going to be on the couch playing 2K? Like,
I'm not interested.
That's a sign. Let's move through these because we got a few.
Number 2.
The second sign is your values are not aligned. So, what do we mean by values? Whether it be, what are your values about money? What's your values about family? What's your values about your religion? Whatever it is, what values do you have that are driving your life? And do they align with your partners? Now, when we say align, I'm not necessarily saying it has to be the same exact word for word value.
Yeah.
Because me and Pauline, I would say we have the same values when it comes to money, but our approach to money is different. How we feel about money is different. Our relationship with money is different. But at the end of the day, we want to honor God with our money. We want to be generous. And we want to have money. So our values are aligned and we don't want to go into more debt to get money. So our values are aligned in that sense. And that's just an example. Number 3, there's no trust. So if you don't trust somebody, why the heck are you still in a relationship with them? Now, you may be watching this, listening to this via podcast, and you may be thinking, I don't trust them, but I don't know why I can't get out of this relationship. And there could be a few reasons for that. Some reasons could be a soul tie. Maybe you've had sex with this person and the bond that's been created sexually is just too hard to break. We've been there. Or maybe you're insecure and you're scared that there's no other men or women out there. Yeah. So if you end this relationship, are you going to be single for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Like, we have to really dig deep when we're looking at these signs, when we're asking ourselves these questions. And guess what? It's going to be painful to do the work, to dig deep, but it's not going to be as painful as a 20, 15, 10-year relationship of pain, toxicity, or if you end up getting married, of divorce. Like, that pain is far greater than the pain of doing the work now to identify if you're ready to date and if the person you're dating is ready to be in a relationship with you.
Yeah, and just quickly to Alex, we acknowledge, like, starting over is hard. A lot of times when you're with somebody for a long time can be a bondage. It can be bondage. It's like, oh, I've been with this person for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and I just don't want to start over. I don't want to have to get to know somebody new. I don't want someone new to get to know me. My family already knows him. I was at his sister's wedding. You know, all of these things can be bondage, but honestly, you have to choose your heart. You choose the heart of staying in a dysfunctional, unhealthy relationship, or you choose the heart of starting over. Both are hard. Which one's going to get you closer to where you want to be and closer to the well done, my good and faithful servant?
Remember, making the right decision in dating can be hard because it's very easy to get comfortable with the status of a relationship. But like Pauline said in that clip, choose your heart. Yeah. You can either choose the heart of staying in a relationship you know isn't God's best, or you can choose the heart of, you know what, I'm single right now and I was hoping that relationship would work out. But the key is looking long term. Yeah. You think about the verse that talks about Jesus, our example, on the cross. It says, for the joy set before him, he endured the cross. He didn't want to be on that cross. Right. You don't want to break out with them. But it's better to endure something that's hard that you don't want to do, because you can see in the long term, I want to have that healthy marriage. I want to have a relationship where somebody is serving me just as much as I'm serving them, and it's a blessing to both of us. That's really, really important. Now, let's get into this next clip, because marrying someone who is healthy is not always easy. But let's say you find yourself in a relationship and things are going well. Yeah. what are some things you want to look for to now be able to take that next step of, okay, we're dating, I'm liking where things are going, but how do I know if this is the person I should take that next step into marriage with?
What would you say to somebody that's dating right now? They think the person they're dating is the one. They're not really sure. What are some signs that you've seen kind of through all your years that are good indicators that the person they're with is someone they should consider marrying?
Oh, um, it's a art and a science. I believe that, I don't. So I say this with kind of a preface. The things I say fits what I've seen.
Yeah.
And I see a lot. And so I'm always surprised. I've seen individuals that have literally been together for 3 months and they decide to get married and they have had amazing relationships.
Right.
And I've seen people who did all the premarital counselings, who studied everything, went to church, went to all the different seminars. They dated for 3 years, didn't wait. They waited until they had sex till they got married, and all of a sudden they didn't last 3 years.
Right.
I mean, I have seen spectrums and I've seen reverse.
Right.
People who you just met them and got married, this is going to be a hot mess. And it was hot trash. And the people who did it right, and it was amazing. They have a beautiful marriage and they love each other. So I've seen it all. The thing that I would tell you is this. Are you both healthy?
Yeah.
And are you both mature?
Yeah.
If you're healthy and mature, you can work through almost anything and get to a good place. Because here's the thing with maturity. Paul talks about it. When I was a child, I spoke as a child.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with somebody and they are immature and you have to lower your language and thinking to come to their level, you need to take a step back and be like, really? That's how you think? Hold on,
you have to break it down
by
just thinking
differently. It's like, hold on. So you upset. And your first thought is, I'm going to throw something and I'm going to go out in the car and drive off and you got to chase me. Wait a minute. We not throwing tantrums. Look, I love you, but this ain't healthy.
Right.
We not about to do this. Hold on. You get upset and now all of a sudden you go drink and now all of a sudden I got to take care of you because you're drunk. Like what you're going to see in dating is some of the stuff you're going to see when you get married. And so you need to see, I tell individuals, are they healthy? How do they handle conflict? How do they handle success? We always say in this thing, for better or for worse. Yeah. And everybody goes to the worst. Oh my God, Tyler Perry play. I'm going to walk in and all of a sudden I got to forgive them because they did this. What happens with most marriages is not the worst. It's what happens when they get success. So now all of a sudden you get the job. Now all of a sudden you lose the weight. Now all of a sudden you get the promotion. Now all of a sudden you're in a place and people grow. And now it's different. And one couple feels, man, we were the same. We were both eating ramen noodles, and it was amazing. Now all of a sudden, like you getting flown all around the country, and I'm still trying to figure out my life and where I'm going. And I think we're just growing apart and all this. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, wait. This person loves you. Like with success is a beast in a marriage, and you got to learn how to navigate it. I've seen children come in and just change marriages, where people all of a sudden the way you grew up really plays an impact. You know what? We ain't cooking 3 meals. If mama cook, we all eating the same thing.
Right.
AKA, hey, you know what? I think I want steak tonight. I think they want fish, and little Susie over here wants chicken nuggets. And you got somebody in the kitchen making 3 meals, and those tension points come in. They become personal. You throw things in. I'm telling you, success comes at a cost. Do not put your family on the altar of success.
Wow.
Don't put your relationship. And so I think the main thing that we do when I come into marital counseling is kind of tenets that we go through. One of my goals is to see if I can break them up. It is to dig. It is to be petty. It is to dig. It is to make sure that they know each other and who this person is that they're marrying. How do we handle conflict? We're going to touch the stuff. I want to touch on arguments. Also, there's this place of I want to make sure we have healthy communication. Do you know how to communicate? I didn't know how to communicate in my marriage. I grew up 4 brothers. You hit each other and you move. That's what we do.
Right.
We all are good. We love each other, love God. We ain't sitting there talking about no feelings.
Yeah. Right.
And so how do you communicate? Communication is the heir to a relationship. You lose the heir to a relationship, it dies.
It's good.
It suffocates. And so you got to be in this space where you know how to communicate. So we go through that, and then we go through, are we healthy? When you're healthy, you have a healthy body. So we have a healthy checklist that we go through. I expect you, when you get the flu, if you're a healthy body, you're going to be down for 3 days. You're going to take some Theraflu. You're going to take some kind of tea, You're going to put some tea tree oil on your feet. You're going to do all these different things. Whatever you're going to do, you're going to take some cod liver oil if you grew up in the South. So all this stuff. But guess what? In 3 days, he rose again. You're going to be, all right, I'm feeling better. I can eat. Life's good. But if you're not healthy, it could turn into pneumonia. So if I get into an argument and now all of a sudden we don't get over it when we apologize and we work through it, and now all of a sudden it leads to distance, and now I don't know what it's turned into, that argument now has turned into really a fight, and now that fight has turned into distance. That's not healthy.
Right.
That's good.
Especially if it's not a major fight. Y'all sitting over here fighting over passwords, or you're sitting over fighting over, you know what? Hey, you didn't put up trash and it turns into a big fight. We ain't healthy.
Right.
And so we go through a healthy checklist that looks through communication, forgiveness, making sure it's clean. My goal is that when individuals get to the altar, they know clearly who the person is that they are marrying. They know the good, the bad, and indifferent. Mm-hmm. They know the things. It's clear. When Scripture says that David was pure in heart. He was pure because he kept his heart empty. It was always before God. So, hey, this is what I struggle with. This is my fear. This is what I did. This is what I've done. You know me. I know you intimately before we don't even have to have sex, and I know who you are. And so it's this place when we get to the altar, we are clear and we are pure with each other. After we go through that piece is making sure they have the tools to, one, overcome arguments, make sure they can manage finances, make sure that they have their own personal goals as well. Because the beauty of this is there's this diagram that we do, and it's kind of this triangle. Mm-hmm. What we have on one side, we'll have Tim. Tim is going up this side, and Tim is down here. And as Tim gets closer to God, he's going up. As Pauline is here, she's getting closer to God, she's going up. But as you're growing together, you're growing towards each other.
Right.
And so having a healthy marriage, what does success look like for you personally, and what does it look like in a marriage? Having goals, and then making sure they just have a couple tools to know who they are. So going through a couple DISC assessments, which is a personality assessment, understanding love languages so they can fill that up. I can go through 20 minutes in that. It's a beautiful thing to help people understand those things and what it looks like. But that's kind of the goal for marriage counseling and what we do.
All right, fam. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the W Podcast. Remember, it's better to be alone. Sorry, I'm thinking about this pastor.
You're not alone. You're with Jesus.
Well, I'm thinking about this pastor who says it's better to be alone than married wrong. And like,
that's supposed to rhyme.
Yeah, they kind of forcing it, but you get the point. You get the point. It's better to be with yourself than to be in a relationship that's unhealthy. So we hope this video helped you identify some questions to ask yourself, but then also some characteristics to look at the other person and identify, should you marry them? We'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
Thanks for watching this video.
To get more Christian relationship advice, subscribe to our channel.
And make sure you check out our other videos as well.